Drinking buddies, today we are going to be talking about home aging, how you can do it, what's it all about, and is it worth it? Should you dive into this category? Let's go.
I'm your drinking buddy.
So, if you're intrigued by this idea, I would say some great places to start are things like Benchmark Foolproof, Wild Turkey 1, or even Old Granddad 114, something I haven't done much with. But, the cheaper the better for home aging, because if you don't love it, you're not out that much. I've definitely made some cool things like this birthday bourbon, poor man's birthday bourbon. So this is 1 part Statesman to 1 part 1910 with 2 ounces of Old Forester barrel strength with a barrel spiral in there. Prudent Pappy is the most common, and that's what we have here. We have 2 different Prudent Pappies. I just knocked my whole glass of water over. Anyway, so this one right here is my Prudent Pappy, and how I make my Prudent Pappy is I take 2 parts Maker's Cast strength to 1 part Larceny small batch. And then I drop a barrel spiral in there for a few weeks. So my barrel spirals, link in the description if you want to get those. They're from my Amazon shop. I use those all the time. This one has something a little bit different. So this came from Steven at Say When Bourbon. I'll link their channel in the description. They're another Whiskey Tube channel. And this has something called Whiskey Sticks, white oak in it. And it was a longer spiral. And so let's compare them. I've done a lot of comparisons between the Prudent Pappy and old Rip 10 and things like that. And Prudent Pappy often beats it. Yeah, so it's got a lot of that. It's got a lot of that cherry and brown sugar and caramel notes you get off of the old Rip 10, off of Pappy. That's why it's called Prudent Pappy. But I will say a little bit of that peanut butter does come through that you get off the Larceny. It's not too strong, but it is there. I think that the spiral helps tame that down a little bit. So this one is a little bit smokier on the nose. So that one has got the same things going on as here. They did the same recipe I did. However, they used that different spiral. And I definitely think it gave it like a tobacco-y, smoky, like mesquite thing, which is very interesting. I definitely think that this is the more interesting whiskey. But if you're looking for that Prudent Pappy experience where you just want the classic Buffalo Trace notes, the classic Pappy Van Winkle notes, the old Rip notes, I think going with the spirals I have linked in the description is going to be closer. However, this is really interesting. So this just proves that you kind of can't screw it up. Like this doesn't necessarily taste like probably what I would set out to make with the Prudent Pappy. Like I said, I didn't make it, Steven did. But it's great. I really dig it. Okay, so some other things I've done in that same realm. I made this Prudentist Pappy. Now this is something I made for my Discord members, my channel members. And to make this, I blended wheated bourbons from 4 different states. And I carefully did it. It wasn't just like, let's dump a bunch of stuff together and see what happens. I used the specs I had done for a previous project. And that project I was doing a bunch of crazy finishes on. So I did like Amberana and cards on the table. If you're doing home aging, I very much caution you to buy anything Amberana or do anything Amberana. It's too potent. It takes over so quickly. Even 12 hours in a bottle will likely ruin your bottle. I definitely highly recommend against using that. But the previous one I was doing to do wild finishes on. So that one, a portion of it went in Amberana, a portion of it went in Cabernet, and a portion of it went with spirals. And a portion of it went with a new charred oak spiral. So toasted Cabernet and Amberana. And the Amberana just totally took over. And I think it was still a good whiskey. Tasted a lot like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But this is more what I was trying to do in that project and just make a great whiskey. Anyway, next comparison we have here. This is a JD barrel proof rye at 132.1 proof. And this is a JD barrel proof rye at 132.1 proof that has been home aged with Japanese cherry oak and toasted sugar maple staves. And these were given to me by Robert to compare. So thank you, Robert, for these. And the regular Jack has just got a great, just classic Jack rye nose where you're getting a touch of banana, cherry, nice oak thing, and caramel vanilla. Yeah, so that's just got great flavors on it. We're definitely in the Jack Rye has got just a hint of spice to it. It almost, to me, tastes more like a high rye bourbon than it does a rye. I love these. If you don't own a Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye, I highly recommend buying one. And that might be a pretty good bottle to do some experimentation with because they're pretty prevalent these days. Ooh, now this one's much more interesting nose. I don't know if I'm putting the idea of maple in my head, but this smells like maple syrup on pancakes to me. Oh, wow. That really, really did some cool work here. I definitely think that I like both whiskeys. And, you know, I would say probably most of the time I would gravitate towards the classic flavor notes you get off a regular Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye. But here we do have some nice maple thing. There's already a cherry note here that's being, complemented by the Japanese cherry oak. So yeah, drinking buddies, what have you tried when it comes to home aging? Is it something you're intrigued by? Is it something you've tried before? I caution Amberana once again. I would avoid Amberana. But anyway, drinking buddies, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you. Every time you guys like the videos, every time you guys subscribe to the channel, you make this thing possible. Couldn't do it without you. Cheers.